Welcome to
Good
today's
evening.
episode. Super excited. We are in season 3
Tres.
of Daddy's Girls. Today we are talking about season 3, episode 2, Focus. F.O.C.U.S. Okay, let's talk about some good news. Woo, woo.
Woo.
Okay, what's the good news?
The good news that I want to share is that I'm getting comfortable with uncomfortability.
Ooh.
I think it's a growth and it's a resistance thing, right? It's discernment. Um, however, we you often hear, nothing comes in comfort. You have to get uncomfortable, right? You have to take off the layers. We're also in a fast, Daniel fast as well right now. We're in day 17, a couple more days to go. So my download is overflowing. I have notes everywhere, right? So for me, that's my good news that I'm in this season getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And when you do that, you have to, that exercise where you have to fall back and know that you're going to be caught, right? If you in a group, a team building like the team, it's that same, it's that okay, I'm covered. Like and I can't control it. So that's my good news that I'm getting more comfortable with being uncomfortable and not knowing what's next. Just believe God, have faith, and know He has my back, and I'm getting more comfortable. So that's my good news. What about you?
So, do you do the Daniel's fast every New Year, or is this your first time
No, this
doing
is
it?
this is the second time that I've done it with this
Okay.
church, Belong Church, in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia. They just moved right back to Atlanta. They were in Dallas, Georgia, and they moved temporarily. We're in this season. The theme is taking the city back. So
Mm.
that we're housed in North Atlanta High School in Atlanta, and we're doing things differently. We have two services at 10 and 12, and we did it last year. And last year, and like the communicators have been talking, we do a 6 a.m. pour and a 6 p.m. devotion every day, except for Sunday where we just do the service and then the nightly devotion. But this fast, this is not my first time doing a fast, but this fast has been very different. And when I say like different, last year when I did it, I was so enlightened and I felt a shift that I wanted to do it longer. And Pastor Friend just spoke the other day. He said, he was sort of joking. He was like, what if we just extend this for 40 days?
Wow.
Like, yo. All right, Pastor. But um, and what let me distinguish. The first time I did it with this church last year, I felt more open, less hungry. Of course, you snack and you want to eat what you want to eat.
Yeah.
Giving up dairy and giving up meats and fish and all of that, that's not a big deal for me. I can, do a vegetable cleanse. I can do a whole month with just vegetables. But the um, no no acts of anger, less social media. Like those two are a little bit harder. But this time, when I say different, um, I just feel like in the last year that God provided me a way to carve out more to receive in my
Mm.
in my process with breaking down last year, saying I hadn't finished breaking down and going through the process. More of me was carved out, if I can explain this, that God is able to input and I'm able to hear. Because you fill up that void sometimes with your own thinking and your own thinking, your own decisions that
Yes.
and I'm just speaking for myself. When I say you, I mean just me as well. I'm not just talking about
Yes.
what I've heard. I talk about what I know, right?
Yes.
When we don't carve out that space, we're full. We're too full, right? We're too full of ourselves, right? And we don't have the room or the capacity to be downloaded into, right? To be trusted. Some of my notes were, are you present or are you in the presence? And
Mm.
do you have that capacity to receive, right? Can God trust you to sit at that table and represent him or to gift you what he wants to gift you? Like if you're not prepared, then some way, somehow it's not going to come to fruition. So the difference from last year to this year in terms of my growth, I think, is that I have more space to hear him. I've carved out more room in my heart and my mind and my spirit to fulfill that, right? Whatever I was filling it up with before, or had my ears closed, they're now open. So
Mm,
this is my personal difference with, it wasn't as hard to give up things because I'm getting so much more. I'm getting
mm.
so much more.
So, and it sounds like, and you had the space, so you were going. We fill our spaces up with stuff. Period.
Right.
I don't care who we are, whether we
Right.
fill it with food or
Right.
people or events, busyness,
Mm-hmm.
thoughts,
Yes.
substances,
Mm-hmm.
alcohol, whatever it is, sex,
Yes.
whatever it is,
Addictions. Right. Mm-hmm. We fill
we
up.
fill those empty spaces because it's just what we do,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so the fact of, so what I'm hearing you say is the breaking process that took place made room, that this season of the fast is just like a, is cataclysmic, right?
Yes. Like,
Is
oh my goodness.
yes.
Like,
Oh my gosh.
for real. Like, it's not anything. I think people can, all they can do is like share their opinion, right? Or
Hmm.
you can receive or not receive uh,
Yes.
a message or instruction. Uh, but I've often said, and especially in my writing, I have a theme, being a vicarious lesson learned, right? Being a vicarious lesson learned is so that you don't, get your hand snapped, and then you don't get that bite, and you don't get that hit, right? If you can learn from somebody else's lessons, you know how much time you save. But we all have that mindset, or we have had that mindset that, mama and them don't know what they're talking about. This is a new day. We do it this way. What was one of the notes this week? Same God, new way. Same
Oh,
God, new way. Right?
same
He's
God,
still
no
the same
way.
God, but he'll find a new way to introduce something to you or to teach you something, a different avenue, right? But you have to be open to receive as well, right? If it's all these, if it's the visual, like you have a ball and it has all these holes in it, right? But if all the holes are stopped up with your thoughts and your
Yeah,
ideas and your addictions and the people that you put in these places above God, and you can't hear, it's like we need to punch some holes in these holes, right? They have to be open. You have to be
yeah,
open to receive. So I feel like, if my ball was, a little clogged before, it's some more openings that God, now it's some openings. He could get, to me, and I can receive it, right? Same thing, same concept. If you are trying to pour something into something and it's closed, it's gonna roll off of it. It's not going to
yeah.
seep in. Oh, thank you, God.
That's good news. That's why I just wanted to sit with that for a little bit because that is definitely um that's good news.
It is.
That's really good, and it's encouraging for somebody who may have always considered doing the Daniel fast but hadn't done it, thinking, considering what they give up, because sometimes you don't seem to be more hungry except when you try to fast, right?
Right. All of a
And
sudden, it's like, is it 6 o'clock yet? Because,
yeah, you thinking about what you're gonna cook and what you're gonna eat, and
right,
I mean,
right,
you have more food in the refrigerator, and you thinking, out of nowhere, you know what? I hadn't had chicken and dumplings in
right.
10 years, right?
Mhm.
All of a sudden, you're thinking about all of these things, but how,
Right.
but isn't that how life is anyway? Is when we try to go to the next level in anything, the thoughts and ideas that'll come to mind, that'll be the distraction, so we can't focus, because that's what we talking about today.
Focus. I love a good acronym.
Hey,
So,
look, you and me both. You and me both. So when you sent that, I was like, "Ooh, this is good. This is good." And so we want to talk about focus. So that was your good news. My
mhm.
my good news is I was able, to take some time off, take some time away, and I had an amazing time away and some downtime. But I don't know if it may not sound like good news, but over the last few weeks, probably yeah, the last few weeks, I've had a few family members and friends transition
Oh boy.
who have passed away. And I had a great aunt who used to babysit me when I was a little girl for a long time, and my cousin who's only a couple years older than me. But you know, back when you're growing up, a couple years is like a big deal.
Right.
Um, her mom, my great aunt, and then another friend of mine, Cece. For those who are listening, know who Cece is. She transitioned yesterday, and so what it has caused me to do, as it does, I guess, with anybody, is look at life differently, um, through a different lens and appreciate life better
Mm-hmm.
and more. Um, and telling people, taking the time to tell people that I appreciate them. And so I'm glad we have our time together and we able to get together live because we've been traveling. You were in class and in training at conferences. Ada, you know our girl Ada
Yeah, Ada
is
is
somewhere.
traveling as we speak.
Yes, she's somewhere on those open seas, and we'll hear about that when she
Yeah, I
gets
received a
back.
text from her on either Sunday, Monday, I think it was.
Okay,
And I was checking. I said, "Did you get the email that I sent?" And she said, "I can't get anything, or I
right.
can't see anything until tomorrow when I dock in the Bahamas." So the next
Yes.
morning, she was there. She said, "I saw it. It's so nice. It's so pretty." I said, "Okay, bye, girl." So she is traveling as we speak. I don't know the itinerary, but she'll certainly tell us in
Yes,
when we
when
circle
she
back
gets
in
back.
February. Yeah. Hmm.
So it's so you look so I think it's good news that you looking at life differently, right, and appreciating people more. So that's why I'm excited today also about the topic of focus, and we also are announcing it. Do we want to announce? We want to say it as often as possible, right? Let me find
Yes,
the
please.
graphic because we've got people signing up already
Already.
for
Already.
Daddy's Girls. Let's talk live. We are going on tour. We will be at Studio 87 in Dundalk, Maryland on Wednesday, February 28th, 2024. The early bird special is $24.
Hmm.
And let me find the link for there is the link, and you know what else I can do?
Hmm.
Um Okay, there's the link. You see it there, but also I can put it in the.
In the
But
chat.
that doesn't post everywhere. Yeah, but I can
Right.
put it in
But
the
what I've
chat.
done is I created events on my Facebook page. I
Okay,
didn't do
please.
one for I didn't do one for YouTube, and I didn't do it for Instagram. I wanted it to first be organic. And so
Yeah.
that's how we received our first two ticket sales already, right? So again, this is an intimate event. And so I anticipate that we will sell it out, and I
Yes.
already know that God has plans for us to pivot and do it again. However, I wanted the first, week or so to, give some people room before we start advertising it. So you can create an event as well on your Facebook page. It's the same
Okay.
link. And then start doing postings. I do my creative content. I'll do some reels and all that good stuff, and it'll start being more readily available. But we wanted to announce it tonight first. And so happy that the early organic, just good old email is getting us some sales.
Yeah.
So we really, this is a reunion as well.
Yes.
I'm trying to see. No, Ada and I kept missing opportunities when I was in New York. So you and Ada have gotten together, and you and I have gotten together.
Right, but not
And
the three of us.
right, I haven't gotten together with Ada recently, but I'm trying to think. No, I had one more event. But 2019 was the last time that I've had a live event, and this is the first time that the three of us will be
Yeah.
together. So it's a reunion. I'm getting a lot of feedback from people who have supported me over the years, and they were like, "It's about time." So I'm really looking forward to this reunion. And everybody is welcome, men, women, and also looking forward so much to seeing some new faces, right?
Yes.
So I'm really, getting pumped for this. And you know, in the advertisement, there's a little blurb in there talks about, how we all merged on Journey to Greatness, and we evolved and we started vlogging, and we have a whole library of them. But this is something only that Daddy could design, right? And so we are still learning as we go what
Yeah.
he's going to do. But the road show is starting. It
Yes.
is starting. It has begun. So, so
Oh, gosh, I'm so excited.
excited. So let's talk about the acronym focus, and then we can break it down like we do.
Hmm.
So F is for focus, right? That we need to focus. Did a little just regular Webster's search. Definition of focus: when a person is focused on something, they're paying attention to it.
Mm.
Something, they're paying attention to it. You want to do the O?
Oh, oh, I like this. O is for overflow. Overflow. In order for anything to be able to overflow, it has to be full first. It can't lack anything. So that all that is being poured on top is just spilling out. And really, when we serve others, when we show up, we are supposed to serve out of our overflow. When we're properly taking care of ourselves and our cup is full, then we're serving and giving from our overflow. Breakdowns,
Mm-hmm.
panic attacks, and
Mm-hmm.
things like that happen when we are depleted.
Right.
Our cup is empty and we're trying to give out of an empty cup. Whereas we are supposed to give out of our overflow. And if you don't think so, there's a scripture that talks about, God giving, pouring in, pressed down, shaken together, and what? Running over, which is overflow. That's how God does things. So we supposed to operate and give and exist out of the overflow, because overflow also is an indicator that we have more than enough.
Correct. Correct. Um, I'll say that in this, and since 2024, since that dial has clicked to 1201, it has been non-stop for me, and I've felt that overflow, right?
Yes.
All good things. However, again, too many things, again, it's like trying to balance and hold all those things. So you need to really, again, C is for concentrate, right? To make something stronger, denser, um, or better, that we're going to concentrate on, that you're going to be specific. Um, my mom recently shared with me that she wasn't concentrating, and that she had a little fall
Mm.
in the house. And when I talked to her and make sure she was okay, I said, "Well, Mom," I said, "we're all getting more seasoned." I said, "Even myself, that and especially now after having issues with my back and having limitations, that we can't assume just because I've always been a little bit I won't say clumsy, but I know that the door frame is there. But if I'm not concentrating, I'll walk into the door frame, even though I've walked through that door 1,000, 2,000 times,
Right.
right? So I was like, Mommy, you have to think about what you're doing, even the simple things. You can't walk and think, like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to load the washing machine, or I'm going to the bathroom.
Yes.
Before I have an accident, let me just go to the bathroom. But
Yes.
then when you carry those thoughts, then you're off balance, right? And so concentrate, right? Let's think about what we're doing and why we're doing it, without trying to hold several thoughts at one time, because then you're not focused, and then that's when you might injure yourself. And as we get seasoned and we're in our midlife, stuff just start popping up out of like the blue. Right? Something that was perfectly fine today, tomorrow
Yep.
you're like, well, how did that happen? Like,
Yes.
that's midlife.
And that also dispels the myth of multitasking.
Right. You can only successfully do one thing at a time. Multitasking is not.
It's a myth. And we can do multiple things at one time, but can we do them well?
Right.
Right? And that's where the concentration comes in, being laser focused and intentional. Because you're right, when we have multiple things on our mind, we're oh no, I was doing this. Oh no, I was doing that. Oh, I started to do this, and then turn around and say, oh no, I didn't finish that. And scatterbrain, all over the place. Again, another scripture that comes to mind: a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. And double-minded, competing thoughts, competing ideas going on. And unstable is I can't focus on anything because I'm bouncing back and forth in my mind, in my physical action, because as we think, that's how we are. So
Right.
C, being concentrate. Oh, you
Mm.
unusual. Unusual. You got to unpack that one for me.
Okay,
Unusual.
so let's talk about unusual. That spectacular, fantastic things happen in an unusual
Oh,
way, right?
yeah.
How many biblical stories that we have that it's not typical, right? That David could use a rock, right? Because he had been out, and he had perfected. He's like, I can do it. He had that slingshot, right? When
Yeah.
Moses had to get, to take us a generation through, like, how are we going to get past that water? How are we going to, again, unusual circumstances, right? And so if you think about it, even when we have discernment and we have messages, it's something that's not usual. Something is off, or like deja vu. You ever have deja
Hmm.
vu? It's something unusual, but that's a sign. Like, listen to that thing. It's not going to be typical, right? Unusual is uncomfortability.
Mm. Getting
Right?
comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Excuse me.
Right, because it's not business as usual, right? We can do things with our eyes closed on autopilot. But
Yes.
the minute that something starts to get off that typical box, you're not, you know, so unusual. That's a tough one to try to implement, but you have to be aware, you have to concentrate, right, subconsciously, that these things are happening and they're happening for a reason. Or if you have a premonition, or we say you think of somebody's been in your mind, right, and you haven't talked to them. Or we talk about strong friends, and pray for your strong friends, because we have broad shoulders, but again, the overflow, you get unbalanced, right? And you have to be centered. So the unusual is an opportunity for something. So just to kind of do a check, like, this is not typical. Pay attention to the unusual,
Pay
right?
attention to the unusual.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. And
Mhm.
and unusual. Okay. So like unusual, like Sarah being 80 something years old and getting
Exactly.
pregnant.
Right. Right. Right.
Unusual,
Mary not being a virgin and
right. And
right.
being pregnant,
Right.
right? Um Rahab in the Old Testament was a prostitute
Right. Touch.
who
Mhm.
saved, looked out for God's men, and she's in the lineage of Jesus Christ. Who would think
Mhm.
that a
Right.
prostitute would be in the lineage? So unusual.
Mhm.
God taking the foolish things to
Right.
confound the wise.
Right.
So
Yes. Yes.
unusual.
Unusual.
Oh,
Unusual. Yeah.
okay. I got it.
Right. Like, the woman that touched the hem of Jesus' garment.
Oh,
It could have been
yes.
anybody, but he said,
Yes.
who?
Who
Because
touched
he,
me?
he
Mm.
it's not just anybody. It's like, who touched the hem of my garment?
Yes.
Can
Yes.
again about the presence, going back to the presence, right? Can you feel the present? Are you a present or are you present in his presence? He knows you, right? By a touch, by not being able to see. He knows the spirit of that person. So that's unusual that all these what assuming it was hundreds of people that he was
Yeah.
walking
At
through
least. Yeah.
and and if that's the all if that's all I could get is the him, if that's the closest I could get, I'm going to touch it. And then to be identified and recognized for touching it, that's
Yeah.
unusual. Unusual. Right.
Oh,
Freak accidents, right? Like that we say all the time, like, oh, something happened and it stopped me from leaving the house or something. And then you see, an unfortunate accident down the street or whatever. Like, it was
yeah.
purposeful that you were slowed down so that maybe, you would have been caught right up in that. It's unusual. So
Yes.
pay attention to the unusual.
So I was talking to a group today, a group of women that was part of my coaching cohort at Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the young ladies was saying how she had plans to go to Florida to a conference, right? And everything, I mean, she had lobbied and advocated for herself to be able to go to this conference. So she got approval to go to the conference. Jacqueline, she makes the flight arrangements. She has everything in place. So this goes to the unusual
Mm-hmm.
because I just remembered it. She had everything in place, and then all of a sudden, things just started falling apart. Like there was a weather situation, and her flight was getting changed, and she wasn't sure she was going to be able to get in on time, and um, just things were happening, and she was like, couldn't figure out why all of a sudden things were just going awry for something that she advocated for, excited about, got approval for, everything, the expenses covered. Her mother-in-law passed away
Oh, trying
the
to prevent.
day
Mm-hmm.
before she was to leave, and she was making rearrangements. And so all of us just had a woosah moment and a chill moment, an unusual moment,
Unusual
because everything was happening
to prevent
because
her.
God knew
Mm-hmm.
that her mother-in-law was going to transition. And so when she called her manager to say, my mother-in-law transitioned, and everybody was like, okay, we know that means you're not going to the conference in Florida. We
Mm-hmm.
get it. So the next day, instead of going to Florida, she had to travel clear across the country, the globe, to be there for her mother-in-law's service. And because she was going to be off anyway, everything just fell into place.
Okay.
So the unusual,
Mm-hmm.
being open,
Right.
like you say, what we think is crazy stuff
Right.
happening and going on, but it is because we need to be in a certain place at a certain time in order for preparation to meet opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
we be right where we need to be to get what we need to get.
Right.
have the experience that we need to have. And that's going to be another opportunity for me to make that shameless plug to be in the space on Wednesday, February the 28th at
Yes.
7 p.m.
Or we're gonna do a little bit earlier, right? We're gonna still go live like we usually do, but we'll
Yes,
have like 5:30 to 7,
meet
well,
and greet. Yeah,
6:45 ish to meet
yes.
and greet, and talk to you, wonderful souls that make your way, press your way through, and then you'll be able to be in the audience as we go live as we usually do. And again, this is organic, right? I wish, isn't that like a little green symbol? We should have that on the
Oh,
on the
yeah.
screen because this is truly an organic experience. So cannot wait for the energy that's going to be in that room, the positive energy
Yes.
that's going to be in that room.
Because even with this, we were planning to do it last year, but life was lifing for all of us and it didn't happen. And here it is. It's like the pieces are just boop, 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 boop,
Right,
just
right,
falling in place.
right.
So
Yes,
different than from initially. So be open. We talk about this is not your mom, your mother's midlife, and we talking about stuff that, our moms, grandmothers didn't, wouldn't, couldn't talk
mhm,
about. Is being open to the unusual, to a move and manifestation of God like we haven't experienced before, typically
yes.
unusual.
Unusual.
Mm,
Right. It's
mm, mm.
unusual that we're having an event on a Wednesday night. Wednesday night was carved out for us. So that's the night that we're gonna have it live. We didn't intend to do
Yes,
that initially, but look, we going with we are going with the unusual. We're staying on our course and we on
yes.
this journey. So yeah, let's do the S before we segue again.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
hmm That's
And
on.
steadfast,
Yeah.
steadfast,
Mhm. Mhm.
unmovable,
Yes.
always abounding, steadfast. I mean, having our face set, our heart focused, our actions, everything's just steadfast. I'm
Determination. It's a determination.
a made up mind, steadfast. uh, oh my gosh. Okay, so here, resolute, firm, and unwavering,
Mhm.
committed, devoted, right? I
Yes. Mhm.
fixed. Wait a minute,
Uh-oh.
not subject to change.
Mm.
Not subject to change. So that goes back to being focused,
Yes.
overflow,
Mhm.
concentrate,
Mhm.
unusual.
Usual.
Mm-mm. We're going to focus. We are not subject to change, and not change in a bad way,
Right.
but made up mind from the perspective of, you know what, we're going to do this thing,
Right.
and we're going to make it happen. Yep, some obstacles may come in the way, but I'm steadfast. I got a made up mind. I know in my knower, like you say, I know in my knower that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, so this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Mm,
Yes, absolutely. Steadfast. So this
focus.
is a new year. This is season 3. We've had some scheduling obligations. So we haven't been here every Wednesday, but please know you are on our minds. We are praying for
Yes.
you. We are working to get to you personally. We are working on filling those seats first, and then we'll talk about the virtual experience. But our priority is to get all these tickets sold first. So
Yes.
please buy your tickets early. $24, about $3 in processing fee. Like that's less than you're gonna spend on a brunch or a lunch or a dinner.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
come on, get
And
this
we're going
early
to have a
bird.
good time.
Yes, we're gonna have a great time. Right.
Yeah, and the intimate setting, getting a chance to spend time together before we go live, and even the live experience, we're interacting with you. So if you're in the room, we're
Mhm.
not just talking to us; we're talking to you. We want to hear your voice. This is just an opportunity for us to engage in person
Yes.
in an intimate setting. So I am,
Right. And
man, I'm excited.
we're being obedient, right?
Yes,
It was designed, it was not designed. It's good that we have this virtual opportunity.
yes,
However, it was really designed, and we really do thrive in person, even
yeah.
more than whatever you get now, right? So it is a time to be had. Of course, we'll have photo opportunities, we'll have merch, but it's so exciting to watch this daddy's girls birth out, right? We're part of,
Yeah.
we in the room in the labor and delivery, and we pushed seeing this thing being pushed out, like, but look at this
Look
wonderful
at here. Yeah.
creation. Oh, yes.
Yes.
So it's going to be
Yeah.
a fabulous, fabulous time. So I'm really excited. And we're looking forward to Ada returning back. The next time we go live, it should be the three of us. Um,
Next week, yes.
Next week is my other conference week.
That's
So
right.
right, it'll be the first Wednesday in February. So that's the
Yeah.
seventh. The seventh.
Yes.
We should
Okay.
be back on track by the seventh. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be in DC land next week.
Okay. Again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every day, every day.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm going to be able to stay with a friend that lives like 20 minutes from DC, so
Okay.
that should cut
Good.
down on some of my
So you
driving.
don't have to do the long commute. Yes. Yes.
Right, even whether I take the train or I drive, it won't be as long. 'Cause
Okay.
I'm still, to be honest, adjusting from that first week of,
I'm sure. I
yeah,
am
I
certain.
right. And then, the parking and going, trying to do the electronic meter, like feed the meter from your phone, and that not working, and me having to walk the 4 or 5 city blocks to go make sure that I don't get a ticket.
Because DC now, if you don't get anything else in DC, they'll give you a ticket. Now
Oh
you'll
yeah.
get a ticket.
Oh
Hmm.
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm
The
really
nation's
feeling it.
capital is good for a ticket.
Mhm. I'm really feeling like, okay, all right. So I always have my walking app on.
Hmm.
Haven't been able to walk in quite some time. And I was showing my girlfriend that, if you've never been to the DC Conference Center, is encompasses two separate buildings, with 3 or 4 levels. So I had like over almost 8,000, almost 9,000 steps one day, 7,000 the next, like 10,000 is, I think, 5 miles.
Mm.
But just going back and forth to the conference rooms and to the buildings and to the car and then going to lunch and then coming back, sister was tired when she, when she got home. I was like, what? And then I started doing, we do 6 a.m. pour a lot, but this is the first time I've done it. So before the fast started, I started jumping on 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. pour.
Wow.
So again, this year has been unusual.
Usual.
And I like, again, I feel like I'm getting the most comfortable I've been with being uncomfortable. So
Mm.
I was looking forward to 2024. I
But
still
it's
have a
been
little bit of,
unusual.
it has been unusual, and I say I welcome it. I mean,
Mm.
everything that God has planted in my spirit that I've acted on
Yes.
is, I'm getting the overflow. Like I didn't even know. And again, same God, new way. The way
Yes.
that I thought things were going to come to pass,
Mm.
it's a whole new way.
So then that's an unusual approach, is to disconnect from the how. And
Yes.
that's the new way, is that okay, yep, I'm trusting you, God. I prayed about this. I'm leaving this with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm dis and not but and I'm disconnecting from the how. Because we have
Yeah.
a I know I have a how. I'm
Yes.
thinking of how. And
Right. I'm always
yeah.
in my head.
Yes.
You have to get out of your head.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that I'm pretty sure that comes from being alpha minded, being in leadership,
Yes.
having strategy, having a B
Yes.
C D E and F.
Yep.
It's hard to turn that off, but we have to be like clay to be molded into the way
Yes.
God wants it to be. It's not the way that we always see it, but the destination is still going to be great. And you're
Yes.
going to get some surprises if you let him be the architect and do it his way.
Yes.
So,
Spoken
um,
like a true engineer. Yes.
I'm really I can't complain. And just for transparency, it's not comfortable.
Oh no, it's very uncomfortable.
It's it's
Yes.
it's it's like an alien. It's like what?
Yes.
And I have to sit on down.
Yeah.
Your daddy is in control.
Yes. It's
So
uncomfortable.
it
And
is
that's
not
funny. Oh
comfortable.
my gosh.
It's uneasy. And again, we talked about this either the first show of the year or the last show of last year. I want my turn in line now.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to get back in line. I want to be prepared for when the blessing comes, that I get it at the appropriate time because I was
Mhm.
obedient. So tambourine sound, mic check.
Mic drop. I'm
Drop
telling
all
you.
that.
Getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. Well, we're excited. We look forward to seeing you all. All three of us will see you live the first Wednesday in February.
Yes.
Next week is highly likely, you all will have a replay. But please make sure that you follow Jacqueline across her social media platforms, Lady J Thorne,
Yes.
across all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Thread, right?
Threads,
Threads,
X.
X. And because the advertisement will be there to register for Eventbrite, you can follow
Right.
me as well. The Belief System Boss, or Dr. Lisa T. Lewis. I will have it up there as well because, again, reminding you, this is a very intimate space. It's intentional that it's an intimate space, and once tickets are gone, they are gone. So please sign up and register as soon as possible. And we look forward to seeing your face in the place and being
Yes.
able to lay eyes on you, give you a
Mm-hmm.
hug, and
Hug
have
them necks and
yes, and have a good time on Wednesday, February the 28th, 2024.
Eventbrite. Right. Go to
Eventbrite.
Eventbrite. Even if you don't see the link, if you go to Eventbrite and you type in Daddy's Girls Talk, it's gonna come
Yeah.
right up. So,
Yes.
and you'll see it on all our social media. So we'll be advertising soon, but you heard it here first. We
Yeah.
confirmed the date. We are ready to log in and get it done. Check. We want to check.
Yes, super excited, super excited. Well, we will see y'all next week. We're gonna take you to the water.
Yeah.